¿Qué onda, Mina? Welcome back to Mons. This is my Japan travel series where I talk about my first experience traveling to Japan. The islands near Tokyo are tucked away locales that are a bit tricky to get to. I'll be providing some basic guidance on how to get to them. If you're familiar with the Pokemon Kanto region's Cinnabar Island, Seafoam Island, and Sevi Islands, then you may recognize Japan's Izu Islands. The Izu Islands are south of Tokyo, with the closest accessible island being Ōshima and the farthest being Aogashima. They're not particularly difficult to get there though. If you plan a trip from Tokyo to the Izu Islands and back to Tokyo, you'll find the planning experience is actually quite simple. For me, however, I wanted to get to Shimoda by boat while spending a reasonable amount of time on an island. For most plans, the Tokai Kisen ferry system will likely be the best choice. The Tokai Kisen is the most accessible ferry system in Tokyo. I'll have a link of their website in the description. Their site has a spreadsheet on when the ferries arrive on each island and mainland port, which I will also provide a link for. Simply look at this spreadsheet and analyze what's a good time for you to get moving. Now, due to how the ferry schedule was at the time of my planning, my plan came out to be take an overnight ferry to Toshima, spend about 8 hours in Toshima, then take a ferry from Toshima to Shimoda. That last part was the hard one since that ferry is privately owned and the tickets cannot be bought online. This is what I meant earlier when I said that round trips are easier to make reservations for. If you're only going to the Izu Islands, simply buy the tickets online and follow the steps from there. Due to the Izu Island to Shimoda part of my trip, I had to go to the Tokai Kisen's office in Minato City to see what they could do for me. When I arrived at the main office, I went towards the help center and tried my best explaining my situation. The woman working at the office did not speak a lot of English, which made it difficult to communicate my possible concerns with the ferry. My Japanese is good enough to purchase a ferry ticket, but not good enough to ask if I'm required to make any other purchases or confirmations with other people. This struggle to communicate lasted about 10 minutes. After the constant attempt to get a dialogue out, the woman at the help center helped me clear all my concerns out. She put in the reservations for me for both my ferries of to Toshima and to Shimoda. All I would have to do is confirm the purchases the day of in the same office. And that was it. No extra purchases or obstacles. I failed to mention a price so far since it will likely vary on your plan. Here are my results for comparison. The grand total for both ferries came out to be $210, which sounds like a lot, but I was using this ferry as both an excuse to sightsee and transportation to Shimoda. I'll talk more of them in detail the day of, but for a quick overview, here are my takeaways from the ferry rides. Don't do overnight ferries. The normal ferries with few people are amazing. And don't forget to check in your next ferry ride a few hours early, including when on one of the islands. And that will do it for the main topic regarding the Tokai Kisen. The rest of the video will just be some brief tales of my 6th day in Japan. Since it was right around the corner, I figured it would be a good time to take a look at Tokyo Tower. Parts of Roppongi are pretty wide, but the high points of this area are amazing. Anytime I found a chance to take high ground, I was greeted by a majestic view of Tokyo. Once the night set in, I was once again greeted by a rainy Tokyo night while walking to the back area of Roppongi. It felt similar to my rainy Shibuya walk, but now with some Christmas-themed decorations. Until I noticed. With my appetite building up and having a McDonald's close by at my current vicinity, I was curious enough to know what a McDonald experience was like. I texted my friend Hirune and asked her which meals I should try. She recommended me I try the rice-themed ones, specifically the ordinary rice burger, the chicken rice burger, and the teriyaki burger. I went with the chicken burger. A brief review of Japanese McDonald's. The wait/queue lines are still long in Japan. The one I went to in Roppongi is very spacious. The 3 food items of the burger, fries, and soda taste just a little better than America's. And it's still McDonald's, so I felt like a guilty fatty after eating it. Verdict, out of 10. I was getting tired, so I decided it was time to take the railway back home. On that ride back though, there was a girl there standing in the middle of the train with no support, all the while refusing to take her eyes off her phone. Tokyo trains are known to be wobbly, and I was wondering how she would not fall and just eat it. This girl ended up bending her back forward like she was Dio anytime the train made a rough turn. Impressively, she kept her balance the whole ride through without taking her eyes off her phone. Kami-sama bless her. So yeah, once arriving to my hotel, I wrote my journal entry for the day and slept away the exhaustion. For closing thoughts, it was a productive, mellow day. For my upcoming trip, I'll likely start planning my walks around the ability to walk in the rain. It's quite a comforting experience. So today's lesson is just to make sure to practice your Japanese months in advance before you go to Japan. Thanks for stopping by Mons. Don't get lost out there. Mata ne.